It began the night lightning touched my gate. One flash, and the whole of Maryland went dark. The rain came down in sheets, drumming on rooftops, flooding the street, washing the dust off the air. Inside my house, the generator hummed, steady and proud, filling the silence with its low growl. Then came 3 knocks. Slow. Measured. Heavy. Knock. 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 Every hair on my arm stood. My gatekeeper, Musa, ran in, his eyes wide like torchlight. "Sir, she's here again." My stomach turned. "Who?" He swallowed. "The mad woman." I sighed and looked at the clock, 7:03 p.m. Right on time. She never missed a Friday. Not once. For 7 months, that same woman had been coming to my gate at exactly 7. Barefoot. Drenched or dusty, it didn't matter. She would knock 3 times and whisper, "Tell your boss I have something important to say. I must warn him before it's too late." At first, I thought it was funny, another Lagos street drama. I even joked with my colleagues at the bank about my Friday prophetess. But deep down, I hated it. Her persistence. Her voice. The way she said it before it's too late. I told Musa to chase her away every time. And he did. But she always came back. That Friday felt different. The sky looked angry, swollen with thunder. The air smelt of something burnt. And even before Musa spoke, I already knew she was outside. When I looked through the window, my heart jumped. She was standing by the gate, her face turned up to the rain, but her body was dry. Her clothes didn't cling. Her hair didn't drip. She just stood there, still as stone, as if the storm refused to touch her. "Musa," I whispered, "are you seeing what I'm seeing?" He nodded, trembling. "Sir, she's not normal. Please, don't let her in." I wanted to agree. But something in her eyes held me. They were clear. Too clear. Like she could see through walls, through me. I stepped closer to the window. And right then, lightning lit up her face, and I swear, for a moment, I saw tears. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't mad. She was scared. Before I could think, I said, "Let her in." Musa gasped. "Sir." "Open the gate." He hesitated, then ran out. The moment she stepped into the compound, the rain stopped. Completely. It was as if the sky itself was holding its breath. She looked at me, straight into my soul. "You shouldn't be here tonight," she said softly. Her voice was calm, but each word hit like thunder. I tried to steady my breathing. "What do you mean?" Her eyes glistened. "You shouldn't even be in this house anymore." I forced a small laugh. "You're not well. Please, go home." She smiled sadly. "If only you knew what this house really is." Then she looked around, at the walls, the chandelier, the family portraits, and whispered, "They are not your family." I froze. "What did you say?" "They are not your family, David. You were never meant to live among them." My mouth went dry. "Who are you?" She took one step closer. "I'm the one who tried to save you when you were born. The one your father died for." The words hit me like ice water. "My father? Dead 15 years. "Stop it," I said, shaking. "My father died of a heart attack." She stared at me for a long moment, then said quietly, "Then why is his grave empty?" Thunder roared outside, loud enough to shake the ceiling. I blinked, trying to speak, but nothing came. She continued, "They replaced him before the burial. Your real father tried to save you from them. That's why he was cursed. That's why they've been waiting for your 30th birthday, to finish what he interrupted." I felt my knees weaken. Tomorrow was my 30th birthday. "How do you know that?" I whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked toward my mother's room upstairs, her voice trembling. "If you want the truth, check behind her mirror." She turned toward the door. "Wait." I shouted. But she didn't stop. Before stepping into the rain again, she said one last thing that sliced through the air like a blade. Before midnight tomorrow, leave this house, or they'll bury you beside your father's empty grave. Lightning flashed, and she was gone. For a long time, I stood there, shaking. Musa was still outside, crossing himself, muttering prayers. I tried to laugh, but my voice cracked. She's mad, I whispered. Just mad. But deep inside, something cold moved through me, something that whispered the same question again and again. If she's mad, why did the rain stop when she walked in? And that night, as I lay on my bed in Maryland, listening to thunder roll over the city, I couldn't sleep. Because somewhere between fear and denial, I knew one thing for sure. That woman wasn't mad. She was warning me. That night, I kept my eyes open until the first rooster crowed. Every sound made me jump, the hum of the fridge, the whistle of the wind, even the quiet ticking of the clock on my wall. Sleep wouldn't come. How could it? Each time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, dry in the rain, eyes sharp as glass. And those words replayed in my head like a curse. They are not your family. Check behind your mother's mirror. Before midnight tomorrow, leave this house. By morning, my heart felt heavy, like it carried something unseen. When I finally stepped out of my room, the house looked different. Too quiet. Too clean. The air smelled like burnt incense, that kind of scent that hides something else underneath. My mother was in the living room, dressed neatly in a white wrapper. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. "David, my son," she said. "You didn't sleep well, did you?" I forced a smile. "How did you know?" "Your footsteps," she said. "You were walking around in the night." I froze. How could she know that? My room was upstairs, far from hers. "I heard you," she added, her tone calm but strange. "You shouldn't wander at night, my son. Evil spirits roam in the dark." My throat tightened. "Yes, Ma." Then she smiled again, the kind of smile that's too sweet to trust. "Your birthday is tomorrow," she said, touching my shoulder. "You'll be 30. Your father would be proud of the man you've become." I looked into her eyes, brown, soft, motherly, yet something deep inside me whispered. She knows. That afternoon, I went to the bank like nothing happened. I handled customer complaints, smiled through meetings, forced laughter with my colleagues. But my mind was trapped in one place, behind the mirror. When I got home, the sun was already sinking behind the tall trees of Maryland. My gatekeeper, Musa, was sweeping near the gate. He looked up nervously. "Oga David, that woman no go come again, ABI." I hesitated. "I don't know, Musa. Just, if she comes, don't open the gate." He nodded, then whispered, "Sir, I see something last night." "After she go." "I see smoke come out from ground near the gate. Like something burn inside sand." "Smoke?" I frowned. "What kind of smoke?" He crossed himself. "I no fit explain. Just be careful, sir. This woman no be ordinary person." I nodded and walked in. But his words stayed with me like a stone in my shoe. By 10 p.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I had to see what was behind that mirror. My mother had gone to bed early. The house was dark except for the faint light from the hallway. My father's old portrait stared down at me from the wall, smiling, kind, familiar. But now, that smile felt different. Hollow. I stood before my mother's room for a long time, my hand trembling on the doorknob. Finally, I pushed it open. The air inside was heavy, sweet perfume mixed with something metallic. On the dresser sat the big oval mirror she used every morning. It looked ordinary, but when I moved closer, my reflection blurred. Like the glass didn't want me there. I ran my fingers along the edges, smooth wood, polished, until I felt something odd. A small crack at the corner. I pressed it. Nothing. Then I pressed again, harder, and the mirror gave a faint click. The frame shifted slightly. Behind it was a hollow space. My chest tightened. I reached inside. My fingers touched something cold, paper. I pulled out a small leather pouch, a folded photograph, and something wrapped in white cloth. I unfolded the photo first. It was old, yellowed by time. In it, a young woman stood beside a man I recognized instantly, my father. He was smiling, holding a baby. And the woman, she looked exactly like the mad woman. My knees weakened. I stared at the picture again, hoping I was wrong. But no, the eyes, the face, even the small scar on her neck. It was her. The mad woman. And she was holding me. I sat on the floor, heart pounding. The white cloth fell open, revealing something that made my blood run cold. A small charm made of black string and cowries, stained dark red. Something about it felt alive. Then I noticed something written at the bottom of the photograph, a name in faint blue ink. To my son, David. Never forget me. Ada. Ada. My mother's name wasn't Ada. Her name was Grace. I didn't know when tears filled my eyes. I just sat there, shaking, whispering. Who are you, Ada? Who am I? Suddenly, I heard movement behind me, the soft sound of feet on tiles. David. I turned. My mother stood by the door, her wrapper loose, eyes calm but cold. What are you doing in my room? She asked quietly. I hid the photograph behind me. Nothing, Ma. I was just. Her gaze dropped to the floor, to the pouch, the charm, the open mirror. Her expression didn't change. But the silence that followed could cut through stone. Then she smiled, slowly. I told you not to wander at night. The lights flickered. And just for a second, in her reflection behind me, her face changed. Her eyes turned dark. Her smile twisted. But when I turned around, she looked normal again. I'm sorry, Ma, I stammered. I'll go. She nodded gently. Good. You need rest. Tomorrow will be a big day. I forced a weak smile and left the room. But as I closed the door, I heard her whisper softly, not to me, but to something else. He knows. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by my window, clutching the old photograph and listening to the sound of the rain returning. The woman in the picture, Ada, her eyes haunted me. Her face was too real, too loving to forget. Could she really be my mother? Had everything I believed been a lie? At exactly midnight, a soft knock echoed from the gate again. 3 times. Knock. 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 I froze. Musa's small torchlight flickered outside the window, then went still. The rain stopped again. And for the first time in my life, I was too afraid to breathe. The second knock came softer than the first. Almost gentle. But to me, it sounded like thunder inside my skull. Knock. 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 I turned slowly toward the window, heart pounding. Outside, the street of Maryland lay quiet under the broken streetlights. Rainwater shimmered in the gutters, but the woman's shadow was darker than the night itself. She was standing there again. Barefoot. Still. Waiting. Musa was nowhere to be seen. The torchlight that I'd seen earlier had vanished, and my compound felt dead, no hum of generator, no cricket songs, only silence thick enough to choke me. I swallowed hard, grabbed my phone, and switched on the flashlight. For a second, her eyes glowed like tiny mirrors. Then she raised her hand and motioned for me to come outside. Every part of me screamed no. But something stronger pulled me. I crept downstairs, each step echoing louder than it should. My mother's door was closed, but faint chanting came from inside, soft, rhythmic, like a lullaby without peace. I didn't stop. When I reached the front door, my hands shook as I turned the key. The gate loomed ahead, tall and wet with rain. She was there, right behind it. Why are you here again? I whispered. I told you not to. Before I finished, she spoke. Because you haven't left. Her voice was sharp but sad, carrying both command and mercy. You saw it, didn't you? Behind the mirror. I froze. How did you know that? She sighed. Because I hid it there. I gripped the metal bars, my pulse racing. Who are you? I told you already, she said softly. I'm the one who tried to save you. Your real mother. I shook my head. No. My mother is Grace. Her eyes filled with tears that refused to fall. Grace is not her name. Grace was the one who took you from me. The wind rose, whirling dead leaves around us. I could smell the rain again, heavy and bitter. Listen to me, David, she whispered, stepping closer to the gate. Tomorrow, before the moon touches your skin, they will gather around you. They will sing. They will feed you. And when you drink from that cup, her voice cracked. You will not wake up again. My knees felt weak. You're lying. She shook her head slowly. Your father tried to stop them. That's why they cursed him. That's why his grave is empty. The name father stabbed my chest like a knife. I remember the burial, how they'd sealed the coffin quickly, saying the body had to be buried before sunset. I was 15 then, confused but obedient. Nobody let me look inside. A flash of lightning ripped through the sky. When the light faded, the woman's hand was pressed against the gate, trembling. Come with me tonight. Please. I'll show you everything. You deserve to know the truth. I stepped back, shaking my head. This is madness. You can't just appear every Friday and... Then I stopped. My voice died. Because behind her, I saw something move. A tall shadow, too tall, too thin, standing in the rain, right across the street. Its outline flickered like smoke. Then it vanished. She noticed it too. Her voice dropped. They are watching. She pressed a small object through the bars, something round, wrapped in palm leaves. Keep this with you, she said. Don't let anyone touch it. Not even your mother. I hesitated. What is it? A protection, she whispered. It won't stop them, but it will slow them down. Before I could ask more, a voice shouted from behind me. David. It was my mother. I turned sharply. She was standing at the door, holding a candle, her face calm but her eyes burning. What are you doing out there? She asked softly. Who are you talking to? I turned back to the gate, but the woman was gone. Only the wind remained. I stood frozen as my mother's candle flickered beside me. You've been restless, she said gently. Something is troubling you? I forced a smile. No, Ma. I just needed air. She studied my face for a long time. Then she said, you shouldn't open the door for strangers. Lagos is full of people who mean harm. Her tone was kind, but I could feel something underneath it, like a warning wrapped in sugar. I nodded quickly. Yes, Ma. She touched my arm, her hand cold. Tomorrow will be beautiful, she said. I've invited some people for your birthday. Important people. Family. Thank you, I murmured. But my chest felt tight. Something about the way she said family made my skin crawl. That night, I hid the palm-wrap charm under my pillow. Sleep came in fragments, a scream here, a whisper there. I dreamt of fire. Of my father shouting my name through smoke. Of a baby crying somewhere far away. When I woke, the morning sun had already filled my room. The city outside was bright again, horns blaring, hawkers calling, life moving as if nothing was wrong. But my heart didn't believe it. By noon, the compound smelled of cooking. The cooks were busy. Tables were being set in the backyard. My mother moved from one end to the other, giving orders with a smile that never faded. Everyone was excited. Everyone except me. Musa caught my eye near the gate. Oga, he whispered, that woman, she come again early morning, before daybreak. My heart skipped. What? He nodded. I hear her voice, sir. She no knock this time. She just talk from outside. She say. He hesitated, looking around nervously. What did she say, Musa? He leaned closer. She say make you no chop anything with them serve you today. I looked back at the house. Laughter echoed from the kitchen. My mother's voice rose above it, soft and cheerful. David, my son. The food is almost ready. But suddenly, all I could think of was the mad woman's voice the night before. When you drink from that cup, you will not wake up again. And right then, I realized something terrifying. I had to choose whom to believe. The woman everyone called mad. Or the woman who raised me. The afternoon air in Maryland was heavy, the kind that carried both heat and secrets. From the balcony, I watched the guests arrive one by one, women in geli and lace, men in native agbada, their perfume mixing with the smoke from the suya stand by the gate. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. My mother moved like a queen between the guests, her laughter clear, her gold wrapper catching every beam of sunlight. If anyone saw her, they would swear she was the most loving woman alive. But I couldn't forget the mad woman's warning. They will gather around you. They will sing. They will feed you. By 5 p.m., the compound had become a festival. Music boomed from the speakers, old Ebenezer Obey songs that made the elders smile and sway. Children ran between chairs, chasing balloons and spilling drinks. I tried to blend in, smiling when people greeted me. On. See David. You don't grow. Happy birthday, my son. But inside, I was counting every face. Watching every plate. Waiting for something to happen. When the sky began to turn gold, my mother called everyone together. Family and friends, she said, raising her glass, today we celebrate my son, the one whom God restored to me. Applause followed. My mother smiled at me, eyes gleaming. Then she signaled the maid. The silver tray appeared. On it sat a cup, carved, old, with strange markings around the rim. The crowd began to hum a low song, soft and rhythmic. The same melody I'd heard her whisper through the door last night. My stomach turned. This cup, she said proudly, has been in our family for generations. It carries blessings for strength, wisdom, and protection. She lifted it with both hands and turned to me. Drink, my son. Time froze. The guests leaned in, smiling. The song grew louder. Drink, drink, drink. I reached for the cup, palm sweating. The liquid inside shimmered dark red, almost black. It smelled sweet, but beneath the sweetness was something metallic. My throat went dry. I remembered Musa's warning. She say make you no chop anything with them serve you today. I looked at my mother. Her smile didn't waver. Go on, David, she whispered. It's tradition. My hand trembled. Just then, a gust of wind blew through the compound, knocking over one of the candles near the table. It rolled across the floor and stopped near my feet. Something inside me screamed, run. Before I could act, a voice cut through the air. Stop. Every head turned toward the gate. The mad woman was standing there. Barefoot. Drenched in sweat. Her wrapper torn, her hair wired. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some guests whispered, Jesus. Others covered their mouths. 2 men moved to grab her, but she shouted, touch me and you die. Everyone froze. Her eyes locked on mine. David, don't drink it. My mother's smile faded. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were cold. How did you get in here? The woman pointed at her. You can lie to them, Grace, but not to him. He knows now. Gasped again. My mother's real name, the one she'd hidden all my life. Take her out, she snapped. 2 of the men lunged forward, but the mad woman reached into her wrapper and threw a handful of white powder into the air. A wind roared through the compound. Candles blew out. Plates crashed. People screamed. Amid the chaos, she ran toward me. David, she shouted, grabbing my hand. Come with me now, or it will be too late. I stumbled backward. What are you saying? She's not your mother, the woman cried. She took you after your father refused to join them. The real Grace died that night. The woman you call mother wears her face. My mind spun. What do you mean wears her face? The mad woman's eyes burned. They took her skin, her name, her body. That thing is not human. I turned toward my mother. For a moment, just a moment, I saw something flicker across her face. Her pupils stretched, black and long. Her smile twisted into something impossible. Then it was gone. David, she said softly, voice trembling with false sweetness. Come here, my son. Don't let that mad thing confuse you. The mad woman pulled me closer. She killed your father, she screamed. And now she wants you too. The crowd began to whisper, unsure who to believe. Some backed away. Others clutched their rosaries. Then, suddenly, my mother laughed. Not her usual laugh. This one was low, guttural, like a growl wrapped in a giggle. Enough, she said. Let them see. She raised her hands. The air grew heavy. The torches flickered blue. And as everyone watched in horror, her shadow stretched across the ground, growing taller, darker, swallowing the light. People screamed and fled through the gate. Musa dropped to his knees, praying. Only the mad woman stood firm, pulling me behind her. You've hidden too long, Grace, she spat. Tonight, he'll see who you truly are. My mother's face shimmered like water. Then the skin around her eyes peeled slightly, revealing something grey beneath. I screamed. The mad woman pressed a charm into my palm, the same one she'd given me the night before. Break it, she shouted. Now. I crushed it between my fingers. A burst of light exploded around us, blinding, loud, and hot. When the light faded, the compound was silent. My mother was gone. Only the smell of burnt flowers lingered. The guests had vanished. The decorations were torn. The gate hung half open, swaying in the wind. And beside me, the mad woman collapsed. Her breathing was shallow. Her body shaking. She's not gone, she whispered. Just weakened. She'll find you again. I knelt beside her, tears burning my eyes. Who are you really? She smiled faintly. I told you, your real mother. Then she closed her eyes. That night, I buried her behind the old mango tree, under the same moon that had watched everything unfold. But even as I covered her body with soil, a voice echoed in my head, my mother's voice, cold, mocking, and eternal. You can't bury what you don't understand, David. The morning after the feast, Maryland felt too quiet. The sky was pale gray. The streets were wet from last night's storm, and a thin mist curled above the ground like smoke from an invisible fire. David stood at the gate of his compound, staring at the muddy footprints that led nowhere. The chairs from the party were overturned. The cake was half melted. There was no sign of the guests, no sound from the neighbors, only silence. He hadn't slept all night. His clothes were torn, and his hands still smelled of ashes. Behind the mango tree, the ground was fresh and damp, where the mad woman now rested. But her voice refused to die in his head. She'll find you again, before the next full moon. He went back inside the house. Everything looked normal, too normal. The tablecloths were straight, the lights working again, even the smell of food filled the air. As if nothing had happened. But something had changed. In the mirror above the dining table, his reflection blinked 1 second too late. He froze. Then it smiled, before he did. David stepped back. The smile faded. He whispered, God, what's happening to me? Hours passed. He packed a small bag and called his best friend, Connor, who lived 2 streets away. When Connor arrived, he looked confused. Guy, you look like ghost. What'in happen? David hesitated. If I tell you, you won't believe. Try me. So he told him everything. About the mad woman. The cop. The feast. The thing that called itself his mother. Connor listened quietly. Then he said, "You sure say you no dream?" David frowned. "I buried her with my own hands." Silence. Then Connor sighed. "Okay. Let's go to her grave. If not real, we go see am." They walked to the mango tree. David's heart pounded harder with each step. When they reached the spot, his breath caught. The ground was open. The soil was scattered, as if something had crawled out during the night. Connor staggered back. Jesus. Who dig am? David's mouth went dry. She's gone. Then, faintly, they heard a sound, knock, knock, knock. Both of them turned toward the gate. 3 slow knocks. The same sound. David whispered, "It's her." Connor whispered, "It's who?" But David was already running. He opened the gate. Nobody was there. Just rain dripping from the palm leaves. Then he looked down. On the floor lay something small, a folded piece of paper sealed with dried blood. Hands shaking, he picked it up and opened it. Inside were just 4 words. "Behind the mirror, now." David ran back into the house. Connor followed, shouting, "Guy. Wait. Wetin dey happen?" They entered his mother's room. Everything was clean, spotless. Perfume in the air. Her Bible on the table. David stood before the mirror. His reflection stared back, calm, almost too calm. Then he touched the glass. It was warm. He pushed harder. The surface rippled, like water disturbed by a pebble. "Guy," Connor whispered. "That thing they move." David took a deep breath and pressed harder. The mirror cracked slightly, then gave way. Behind it was a dark hollow space. He grabbed a flashlight and looked inside. At first, he saw only dust and cobwebs. Then something caught the light, a small wooden box carved with strange symbols. He pulled it out and opened it. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, all old and worn. Every picture showed the same baby. Him. But in the photos, he wasn't with the woman he knew as his mother. He was with the mad woman. David dropped the box, trembling. Connor whispered, "Bro, that means she did tell truth." But there was more. Under the photos lay a piece of paper, yellow and brittle, with faded handwriting. "To whoever finds this, know that the child of light must never eat from the table of shadows. The night they take his mother's face, run with him. If you fail, he dies at 30. David's throat tightened. Tomorrow night was the full moon. He had turned 30 yesterday. He looked at Connor. "We have to leave this place." They ran outside, straight to the car. But as soon as David started the engine, the street lights flickered and died. The radio came on by itself. Static. Then a woman's voice. "Why are you running, my son?" David froze. The voice was his mother's, calm, soft, and echoing. "You can't run from what you are." The steering wheel locked. The doors jammed. Connor screamed, "David!" She lay inside the car. A cold hand touched David's neck. He turned and saw her face in the rearview mirror. She smiled. But her eyes were black now, completely black. "Come home, my son." David shouted, "You're not my mother." Her smile widened. "You're right. But you're not David either." He pushed the door open with all his strength, grabbed Connor's hand, and they both tumbled out into the rain. The car's lights flashed violently, then exploded into flame. They ran until their lungs burned, until they reached the edge of the main road. Horn sounds, street lights, shouting. Normal life again. Connor gasped, "We need pasta. We need prayer." David nodded. "I know who can help." They went to St. Anthony's Church, a small Catholic parish on Ikorodu Road. The priest on duty, Father Patrick, listened quietly as David told his story. When he finished, the priest crossed himself. This is not madness, he said. This is possession, but not of you. Of your bloodline. He took out a bottle of holy water. When your father refused the covenant, he broke a bond that should have continued through you. The spirits have waited 30 years to claim what they lost. David trembled. So what do I do? Father Patrick looked him in the eye. You face them. At midnight. At the place they began, your father's grave. That night, they went to Ekoi Cemetery, where his father was supposedly buried. The air was thick with fog. Owls hooted in the trees. They found the grave, a tall marble stone with his father's name. But when Father Patrick sprinkled holy water on it, the ground hissed like fire. Open it, he said. David hesitated. Then, with Connor's help, they pried the cover open. Inside was nobody. Only black cloth and bones of animals. David fell to his knees. The mad woman had been right all along. Suddenly, a voice echoed from behind them. Now you know the truth. They turned. She was standing there again, the mad woman, but her face was peaceful now, glowing faintly. Mother. David whispered. She smiled. You broke the curse, my son. I only needed you to see. Then her body began to fade, dissolving into light. David ran toward her. Please, don't go. She touched his face gently. You were never meant to die with them. Live free. Tell your story. And never ignore the knock of truth again. With that, she disappeared completely. The next morning, people in Maryland said they saw lightning strike a single house, David's. When the smoke cleared, the house was gone. No fire. No debris. Just empty ground, as if it had never existed. But every Friday evening, around 7 p.m., neighbors still say they hear 3 slow knocks on an invisible gate. Knock, knock, knock. And sometimes, when the wind is strong, a voice whispers. Don't forget to look behind the mirror. In life, the truth doesn't always come from those who look wise. Sometimes, it comes from those the world has already forgotten. Listen before it's too late, because not everyone who warns you is your enemy. No matter how dark your story feels right now, remember, light always finds those who keep walking in truth. You are stronger than your fears, and your destiny cannot be buried by lies. Keep believing, keep moving, and never ignore the voice that tells you to rise. If this story touched your heart or gave you chills, don't just scroll past. Join the LaffDropStory family. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Share it with someone who loves African stories. Drop a comment, I always read what you say. Every like, every share, every comment helps these stories reach more hearts. Together, we keep African storytelling alive.